G'day guys, I'm Brad.
I'm Hayley and welcome back to another episode of our Australia trip.
Now behind us, if you're not familiar, is our rig that we use to travel around Australia full time. We've been on the road for 3 months, so I think it's about time we give you a bit of a rundown on our setup.
So we're going to break this into 3 little episodes. Today's one will be all about the car. Next week we'll go through the caravan, and then we'll also do a separate one on when we got our setup professionally weighed.
Alright, to start things off, the trusty old ute. It's a 79 Series Landcruiser, a 2014 model, pre-DPF, which is great. And it's taken us all the way up to Cape York and back, so it's proven itself over the last few months. It's a single cab. We chose this over a dual cab mainly because of weights, and we don't have kids yet, so we don't really need that extra space. We did have a Hilux before this vehicle, so we know what the dual cab ute life is like, and I'd much prefer to have the space in the back, especially while we're touring. Starting off at the front, we've got an ARB bull bar, which is paint matched to the Silver Pearl. We've got these ARB IPF LED spotlights, which are really great, and we've also got an LED bar up on the roof for a bit more of a spread beam. This is more than enough light for us, I found. We don't usually tow or drive at night. We try to avoid it as much as possible because it's obviously more dangerous. But when we have had to drive at night, these lights have been more than adequate to make up for the factory halogens. So we've got a GME 6.6 dBi whip on it. It's a pretty old unit, but it seems to have done the trick, especially traveling in a convoy up the Cape over the last few months. And underneath, we've got the ARB bash plates and recovery point. So the vehicle's got a 2-inch lift. It's got the EFS extreme shock absorbers on it, front and rear. And it's also got some upgraded leaf springs in the back to allow for that extra weight of the canopy and the caravan ball weight. We've got 33-inch tyres on the factory 16-inch GXL rims. They're Mickey Thompson all-terrain tyres, and so far they've been pretty bulletproof. And underneath there we have the Comprods radius arms, which when you get a 2-inch lift in a Landcruiser, you have to get these things, otherwise you will rub against your sway bar and your steering rack on the factory radius arms because there's just not enough clearance there. We've got a 70-litre water tank, which is great for washing your feet or washing your hands after hooking the van up or getting back from the beach, or even drinking water if we want to camp out of this thing and leave the caravan behind somewhere. We've got the big clear view mirrors. I would not go back from these. We spent the money on and got the good clear views. The plastic's great, the vision is great. I can't fault them, honestly. It makes it so much easier towing the van with these rather than the factory mirrors. We've got a 3-inch Bow Desert exhaust from the turbo back. So obviously this car doesn't have a DPF. It does have a resonator in there, but I think this thing sounds really good. It's a really good sweet spot between V8 diesel noise and not having excessive drone in the cab, which can be really annoying. Now these things aren't really known for their soundproofing in the cab, so it is quite noisy in there to begin with, but this thing doesn't make it any more worse. This has got the factory wheelbase with the, what is it called? This has got the factory,
not the diff correction.
So this has got the factory wheelbase with the narrower rear diff, which we were looking at getting corrected, but it's just a lot of money, so we'd rather save that in our bank and keep us going further down the road for longer. Another bonus with this car is the rust-proof chassis. It has a Line-X type coating on the chassis, so it's sort of like a rubberized coating that protects the chassis from salt water, mud, etc. Obviously, again, we've just come back from Cape York and I haven't had access to a pressure washer yet, so there is still a bit of red dirt getting around. That's not rust, it's just red dirt from the Cape. So wrapping up with the exterior, we've obviously got the canopy and a steel tray, which I'll go more into when we come to the canopy. We've also got a 2.4 metre awning and some max tracks on the roof. A massive bonus of owning a single cab over a dual cab is the 180 litres of fuel capacity. That's from the factory. We don't have a long range tank or anything, and it can really be handy because it can get us further. We can get at least 800 kilometres with the van on, and you're also reducing contaminating fuel filling up every 400 kilometres. If you're towing with a dual cab ute or something with only one fuel tank, you're going to be stopping quite a lot to get fuel, and when we had the Hilux, that used to really drive me insane. Right, now going inside, one thing I love about the Landcruiser is this sound. Oh, it's beautiful. Starting off with the inside, we've got these aftermarket door cards. I'm not really a fan of them because I find that they pull the factory clips out of the door when you slam it. So we've got the Red Arc Tow Pro, and we've got the Ultimate Line throttle controller. We've got the scan gauge up there with all our engine temperatures, boost, etc. All the things we like to monitor when we're towing. We've got a dash mat with an AOS dash organizer, which is great because it holds my phone, it holds our GoPro or any filming stuff that we've got when we're traveling and filming. We've got the Safety Dave rear vision mirror, so if I flick that on, you can see it gives you a rear vision of me in there. It gives you a rear vision of what's behind us on the caravan, which is great. It's great safety when we're towing. We've got a Kenwood Apple CarPlay stereo system, and as you can see on the inside of the 79 series, everything just looks so clean and fresh. I really love the interior on a 79, and everything's just so sturdy and analog. Everything sounds and clicks and feels good. Obviously it's a 5-speed manual. You can get these, you can pay a lot of money to get these swapped over to automatic. We've got dual diff locks there, front and rear, which really helped out on the old Teletrack. And here's the old GME. It's a GME like TX 3300 or something like that. It's a really old one, but it does a trick. And coming into the middle here, we have a Landcruiser handbrake that works sometimes. Some cup holders. Contrary to popular belief, 79 series Landcruisers do come with cup holders. I've got 2 here, I've got 1 here, and I've also probably got another 4 or so here, which I've actually replaced with this angle little thermo fridge, which just holds our bits and pieces. And behind the seat, I won't show you that, but we always carry a fire extinguisher and a first aid kit. The fire extinguisher hasn't come in handy yet. Hopefully we don't ever need to use it, but the first aid kit has come in handy on quite a few occasions because I am quite accident prone. Alright, now let's have a look under the bonnet. This is where the magic happens. Obviously it's a Toyota 4.5 litre V8 turbo diesel pre-DPF. It hasn't been tuned. That was one thing that was really important to me when I bought this car, that it hadn't been tuned before, because when they're in the wrong hands they can really make a messy engine and you can buy a lemon pretty easily. And so we've got the factory airbox and a snorkel. Didn't have any issues with that up the Cape. That seemed to just work perfectly. We've got an oil catch can for the blow-by. We've got a fuel filter, like a secondary fuel filter, just in case we get a bad batch of diesel. We've got gearbox and diff breathers. So on the Landcruiser, your gearbox and your diff breather aren't very long. They're probably only about this long. And when we're traveling through water crossings like we did up in Cape York, it tends to transfer the heat and suck in the water, and that turns your oil to milk, and that's when things go bang. So they're awesome. They're up here in the engine bay, and if that's underwater then we're in trouble. We've got a little solar point here where we can plug in a solar blanket which feeds our secondary battery, which is a DCS 100 amp hour lithium battery. The warranty is 5 years, I do believe, for an under bonnet lithium battery, which is pretty awesome. And so far I haven't had an issue with this thing. It has been so staunch, and it's also got Bluetooth connectivity, so I've got an app on my phone and I can see what it's charging at, how much is coming in, how much is going out, and keep my eye on it that way, which is really handy. The DCS lithium battery, the secondary battery, is run through a Red Arc BC to DC 1225D I should also mention that the one thing that has been upgraded in this mechanically is the clutch. It's got a 1300 Newton meter NPC clutch, a heavy duty clutch, which is absolutely essential, I think, when you're towing, because I've driven 79 series before with a standard clutch and it's a lot of work, and it feels like at any moment the clutch could just go bye-bye. So I think if you're going to be towing with one of these things, definitely that should be one of the first things you invest in. Right, so the canopy, obviously it's a steel tray. I bought this car second-hand with a lot of these mods already on it. All the mods that were on it were things that I would have done myself. So we've got a factory steel tray. I'm not sure where it was built. It does say Gibson on the back, Gibson Canopies in Brisbane, but I'm not sure. But yeah, it's got a sturdy steel tray, and it's also got an aluminium canopy. I don't believe the canopy was made by the same manufacturer as the tray, but they're both built really well, I think. I have it's got these dusk compression locks on it, so when you twist them, this little thing pulls in and keeps it sealed. We didn't get any water or dust in the canopy from Cape York, but ironically it does leak through the roof sometimes when you're in a really heavy rainstorm. There's a seal along the middle. There's two sheets on the roof of checker plate aluminium, and I don't know, I've sealed it up 100 times and I still can't get it to not leak when it rains really heavily. I think it just pulls on the roof and just seeps through slowly in all different places. So but yeah, other than that, this canopy is really sturdy. Like, you can see just the inside, in the internal frame of it, there's really there's a lot of box section being used. It's got upright supports in the front and the back, and yeah, it's pretty sturdy. So inside here we've also got these lights, which I've just put the orange on it. I think it looks cool, and it's supposed to keep the bugs away. We've got a little ARB single air compressor here, which is more than enough when I connect it up to our in-deflate air compressor thing. Right, so it's got a really basic 12 volt setup. Honestly, all I've got is 4 cigarette points here and over there. It's all fused, but all I need it really to run is charging a phone every now and then, and running this 40 litre angle, which we have running full time as a freezer. Up here, I'll show it on the other side, but we've got a little BM Pro ProSmart sensor kit. So it has all different types of sensors. It has tire pressure monitoring, it has temperature sensors. I have one in our fridge. I also have just an ambient temperature sensor in the canopy, so I can see how hot it's getting in there. And it also monitors like our battery voltage and some other little things like that. We're full-time touring, so I would have tidied this canopy up and pulled everything out of it, made it look really pretty, but that's honestly just lying to you, because this is how the canopy looks 90% of the time. The other 10%, it looks even worse than this. So because we are living out of it full-time, I should show you what we've got. So I've just got basic tools. This was supposed to be for Blackwater when we went up the Cape, but we didn't end up needing it. We've got an extra solar blanket to plug in when we're parked up somewhere for a while and need to put a bit of extra charge into the DCS battery. Our camera bag, which lives here when we're filming, obviously all the time a lot of the time we're filming football, so Hayley and I can have a kick around, do a bit of exercise. We've got these really cheap, I think these are the cheapest drawers that you can buy. They're just from MW Toolbox, they're aluminium. This one here, I've opted for a slide out table, which is super handy. I've got in here, I've got tools, grease gun, multimeter, just basic stuff, you know, basic tools. It's out of the way. And in here, I've just got all our like inflation stuff. Oh, it's stuck there. There we go. I've got some new tread. Some new tread wheel chocks that apparently are a little bit too tall to fit in here, but yeah, I've just got like our in-deflate kit. I've got an air mattress, because we can actually roll an air mattress out on the other side and sleep in the back if we really need to. We haven't had to do that yet. We have been camping in it, but we haven't had to need to do that since we left 3 months ago. Snatch strap, you know, just odds and ends, stuff that you need. Tire repair kit, like a plug kit. And these drawers, I have to say they've been really good, even though they're cheap. I just done a couple of little things to make them better. I've just got this corner stuff, because they're really sharp. They're I don't know, they come out of China and they've got really sharp edges. So I've just put this protective edging on so I don't cut myself every time I use them. And they're really bad for getting finger marks on them. So I just got some clear contact and put it over that. So every time you come in the Canopy, you're not looking at your fingerprints, you're actually looking at a really nice brushed aluminium surface.
I didn't even realise you did that.
Yeah,
that looks really good.
Yeah, I know, because I actually we got a set of these drawers sent to our house, and they rocked up in the rain, and I left them for a day and come back, unwrapped them, and they were like, it looked so bad. It had all this like terrible like blemishing on the surface. So I took them back to the company, I got a new one, and I knew I didn't want fingerprints. Or actually, yeah, when we went to the Brisbane 4-wheel drive show, we went to the MW Toolbox and I told them about the blemishing on the drawers, and all of the cars that they had there, all the cars that they had in their showcase had like terrible finger marks on them. I thought, well, I don't like the look of that, so I'm going to make sure that we don't get like that. And of course, because it's cheap aluminium, as soon as you put your finger marks on them, it's really hard to get that staining off. As you can see on the back here, you can see that it's, you know, more well worn, but you never really see that part. So it's a cheap and easy way to have things look a lot cleaner, and I'm a bit of a clean freak, so it's nice to have that. So yeah, I haven't got carpet in the back either, as you may have noticed. It did have carpet in the back originally, but obviously when it rains really hard, the roof leaks, the carpet fills up with water, and then all of a sudden you've got a sauna inside. You can grow all sorts of herbs and lettuces and sprout beans and stuff like that if you wish. I don't wish to do that, so I took the carpet out, and it's way more easy to clean and just, yeah, more serviceable and livable for us. Coming around the other side, we've just got all our chairs and muck mat and jack for the caravan, a handful of tools, not a lot of tools, just like a blower vac and a little chainsaw and some really light gear in these tubs, just odds and ends, things that we need, spares. I've got a ladder to get up on the caravan, some fishing rod holders, which I'm terrible at fishing, so I've only got one fishing rod so far. I haven't needed to buy a second one, but there's room for 4, so look out. So up there is our little ProSmart sensor kit, which I was talking about on the other side with the wheel pressure sensors and stuff like that. So yeah, that's about it for the back of the Canopy. Like the lights. And just coming to the back, it's very bare. I know at the back it almost looks like it needs something there, like a big sticker of like my face or something. We're not going to do that. I'll spare you guys that trouble. But there also is a rear vision camera at the back, which links to the Kenwood CarPlay system in the front. So when I'm reversing up to the hitch like that, I'm good there. We've got this stone stomper, but I think that's more a caravan accessory than a car accessory. So next episode on the caravan, I'll talk more about the stone stomper. I do love it. And a spare tyre, just one spare tyre. I would like to have a spare tyre on the back of the caravan, an extra one for the car. I'll talk about that next week's episode because it has more to do with the caravan than the car. And our only bit of damage we got from Cape York is here. This was coming down the gunshot chicken track, took a bit of paint off. As you can see how tough that steel tray is, it didn't mess with that at all, but just a little tree root had bent the hole there for the Canopy and bent the number plate a little bit. That's the only damage we got up the Cape, and I'm just going to leave it like that because I think that's a battle scar right there. We made it out alive. Just a few last little points to note with the Landcruiser. The paint is silver pearl. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. They did try to paint match the Canopy, but as you can see, it didn't really work. I'll just go through some pros and cons of what we've learnt owning this. We've owned this for about 9 months now. I love it. Haley is falling in love with it, I'd like to think.
It's a slow burn. Yeah,
I mean, 79 series Landcruisers or just the 70 series in general, they get a pretty tough rap, but people buy them expecting dual cab ute and SUV comfort, and they're just not that. These are known to be a tough, reliable work truck. That's what they are. They're made for hauling weight. They're made for farmers beating the crap out of them and miners beating the crap out of them, and that's exactly why we bought it, because it's reliable. That's one of the most important things with the type of traveling we do. This is our home on wheels. This thing is the reason why we can get to all these places, and if it's pulled up in a workshop getting work done every, whenever, it just detracts from what we're actually doing. So there's a few reasons why we bought this ute. Obviously there's a few things it comes down to when you're buying a car: your needs, your budget, and just personal preference, what you like and what you don't like. This is an Australian icon. No matter which way you put it, this is a dream car for a lot of people, including me. And to have a car that was begun production like 40 years ago, and for the company to be making them today is a testament to how tough and how reliable these things are. Alright, so price, and when you're looking for a tow rig, obviously budget is one of the biggest things that dictates what you buy. And the price of these things, there's no going about it. They're dear, and they're only getting dearer, especially in the second-hand market, because they're so well sought after. A lot of people say that the 79 or the 70 series is overpriced, and I'd have to disagree, because especially for a single cab ute with a V8, solid axles, a ladder chassis, from the factory, there's no other manufacturer making something like this, and that has been proven over 50 years to be as reliable and as tough as this. So that's, price is a big one, but I wouldn't say that we're disappointed with the purchase at all. Weight is another big one. There's not a lot of, well, actually none of the dual cab utes in the market have a high payload for GCM, which is really the one that a lot of people would be over on when they're towing. So we'll touch on the weights a bit more in another video, but the Landcruiser, the 70 series single cab and dual cab, have a GCM of 6.8 tonne, which is, it's more than enough to tow a 3.5 tonne caravan behind. Alright, so owning and driving this thing around for the last 9 months, I have two cons that really, which I probably you wouldn't be surprised about. One is comfort. The comfort of the seats on the bitumen is fine, personally. Just because the car is so stiff, it does throw you around a bit when you're on the bitumen. But my main issue is when we're on the corrugations. When you're on the corrugations, it literally feels like you're sitting on a milk crate, and just, it's just shaking your brains out. So that's my main gripe with the car. I know it's pretty small in the grand scheme of things, and it did get us up to the Cape and back with no mechanical or issues with the ute. And just the sound inside the cab. These don't have much insulation, sound deadening in the roof. They actually have no sound deadening in the roof. You've just got that little bit of lining on the ceiling, and that's about it. And on the floor, there's nothing. So they are very noisy in the cab. So if you're going to buy one and you don't like driving down the road and not being able to hear yourself, you can't really have a conversation in this car, a phone conversation, because it's just too loud. And music, you could probably kiss that goodbye, because it's pretty hard to listen to music because you can't hear all the nuanced sounds. But that's alright, because we've got a 3-inch Bowdesert exhaust that Hayley loves to listen to every day. The engine power is one other thing that I would consider a con. Their power's there, like it does the job fine, but you can just tell it has so much untapped potential. So I would like to get it tuned. Whether I do get it tuned or not is another story, but yeah, if you're getting one of these and you're a little bit disappointed about their power output just out of the gates, just know that there is a lot of untapped potential in this engine, and you can feel it when you drive it. You know it's there, just can't access it without someone doing some things on a computer. Okay, so obviously that whole video was my opinion, and I'm only half the equation, so let's see what Hayley reckons about the 79 Series Landcruiser.
Okay, just my quick opinion. I think it's a great car, and I'm glad that we have it. I'm glad that we upgraded to it. Brad loves it more than me, but that makes sense. It's been his dream car since he was a kid, and when he's happy, I'm happy. All the things Brad said are the same for me. The big ones are the comfort, and I struggle with like not having storage space because we live in this, we're in it every single day, and I don't really have anywhere to put my things. But it's not a biggie. It's not something that I'm going to be like, we need a different car because of that, because the pros outweigh those little comfort things. Just the reliability and knowing that when we're doing off-road tracks and that sort of thing, knowing that we can trust our car and it's built like a brick. Yeah.
House, yeah.
It's definitely peace of mind. So it serves the purpose for what we need it for. It allows us to travel, to tow our whole home behind us. And so, yeah, happy wife, happy life.
Important question, what do you reckon? Another 79?
Well, the answer is no, because this thing is going to last us a while, and so by the time it comes that we are due for an upgrade, it's going to be when we have kids, and so we can't have this car when we have kids. We need something, you know, with seats in the back. So no, we won't get another one, but this is going to do the job for now. Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed that rundown. If there's anything I missed, definitely throw it in the comments and I'll get back to you. Anything you're curious about or you saw on the car that I didn't seem to mention, I will definitely reply to you. And yeah, stay tuned for next episode where we give you a rundown on the caravan. Probably the best part of this whole package. All right, we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching, and yeah, chuck a like, chuck a subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks. See ya.